For direct warping on your Erica, which is an alternative way of warping without a warping board, you need scissors, your metal leaf sticks, the Texol cord, a couple of pickup sticks and some rubber bands. And then we start at the back of the loom and we tie the yarn that we're going to use for the indirect warping process onto the centre of the tie-on rod, because we start at the centre and work outwards on each side when we're doing an indirect warp. Now, to just help the process and keep everything secure, I'm just going to use a rubber band to attach and support this tie-on rod over the ends of those little wooden pegs. So now my tie-on rod is relatively stable, and I'm going to just put the feet of the Erica over the edge of the table, so then I can pull on it a little bit and it will be stable. So I'm going to take my loop of yarn. I need to take the loop of yarn through there, so that it's between the rod and the bar. Now, I'm going to take a loop from my bucket, the yarn in the bucket, and I'm going to put it into the raddle. I'm going to put 2 threads through the centre raddle, no, that's about there, and then I'm going to take the whole loop right out to the warping peg. And I've centred the warping peg into the centre of the loom from where I stand here. And now I've taken that one over the top of the tie-on rod. I'm going to take the next loop underneath and pull from the bottom of the tie-on rod and put it into the next raddle space. So the distance between your tie-on rod and where your warping peg is the length of your warp. So you have to have a fairly long space to make this an effective way of warping. A lot of people prefer it, and it's relatively quick and easy. So that one came from the top. So now I'm going to take the next loop underneath the tie-on rod. You can stop there, right?
Okay.
People like this direct warping because they can visually see if they want a different colour and how much of it they want. So that's why people like it. When they're joining in extra colours, I prefer to tie each colour off on the tie-on rod rather than tie the colour to each other, because that sometimes lets the colour slip a little bit away from the end, whereas if you tie it onto the tie-on rod, you've got more control over the tension of your thread. So while you endeavour to keep every thread the same tension, it's not quite as evenly tensioned as on a warping board, but it does allow you to see what's happening. So it's there's good and bad things about both methods. Now, while we have the warp under tension, we need to make a cross. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick up every second thread or one thread out of each pair of ends that I have here. And I've got 2 ends in each raddle space, so I'm just picking up one of them out of each raddle space. And it's a little bit tedious, but it's helpful to have them, because we'll use this cross to do your threading. So that's one pickup stick in, and then I'm just going to pick up the alternate thread, the one that I didn't pick up before, and put it in. So I'm going to pick up the one that's below the first pickup stick.
Oh, poor on.
Right. Now you can see that they're sitting there happily. Now I have to put the true cross in, the least sticks that are going to hold the cross for you. So we have a piece of Texol cord, and Texol has little slots all along it. It's made up of little slots that are about 1 centimetre long. So we place it on the back and then take it over between the pulleys and the castle, and then take it inside. So I'm taking it around the back, between the pulleys and the castle and inside, so that I've got a cord that tightens up like so, and I should have about the same amount on each side. So now I put the metal least sticks or cross sticks in. So I put them into the cord first, and then turn this on its side and take it across and put it into the cord on this side, and I can take that one out. Now it's easier with a pickup stick than a knitting needle, so I'm just going to slide that one in there to hold the place, and I can put that on its side, and I put the second least stick in. So this one I've on about 6 holes lower than the first one, so I'm going to put it across. Take that out now, and about 6 holes lower again. It's about there. Now I've got it about straight. Yes, it's about straight. And to hold these in place, I'm going to use some little plastic sponge pieces that people use on knitting needles when they're doing all sorts of difficult patterns to hold their stitches in place. So these are also useful for us weavers. So that will secure them. We'll take away the rubber bands, and then we are ready to wind onto the back beam with our cross in place. So we can get somebody else to hold the end of the warp, or you can weight the warp so that you could put a weight on it here and take it off the end peg. Easiest to get somebody to hold it while you wind it on. I decided to take the warp off the end peg, and then to help me just be able to hold it as I wind on, I'm going to take it underneath the loom so I can keep it under tension as I wind it on. So then I can start to wind the warp onto the back beam. When it gets to that level, we then need to start putting in warp separating sticks to cover these cords so that the warp goes on evenly all the way along.
I'm paused. You've got some here behind you on the table. Oh.
They're slightly long.
Yep, they are. Sorry. Go again.
The warp, and then I'm leaving about 1 centimetre of space, giving this a little bit of a pull, and putting another one in so that they're about 1 centimetre apart. So you put about 5 or 6 warp sticks in the first revolution, and that keeps your warp off all those cords. And then you can do 1 revolution, and keeping all of these threads as evenly apart as you can. Do 1 whole revolution, and then put the next row of sticks in. If you haven't got warp sticks, you can use 6 sheets of paper, newspaper to start with, and then when you run out of that first lot, you can use 4 sheets of newspaper together. Pause.
Paused.
Good. I don't need to do any more.
Okay.